So this article is titled Thinking Differently About Supply Chain Resilience, What We Can Learn from Social-Ecological Systems Thinking. It seeks to further our understanding of supply chain resilience by learning from another field with a richer history of research on resilience to bring a new perspective to supply chain research. This was enabled by bringing together a team of researchers that were interdisciplinary in nature. So there was myself, Andreas, and Steve Melnyk from the field of operations and supply chain management. And this was supplemented with Davoudi from urban planning and the built environment, and Schultz from ecology and the natural environment. And this enabled us to develop a unique perspective on the topic. In the article, we outline 3 notions of resilience that come from social ecological systems thinking. So the first of these is the idea of resilience as persistence, so maintaining or re-establishing the system after a shock. Resilience as adaptation, adjusting the system in response to a disruption, and resilience as transformation, so more radical changes to the system. We then go on in the article to talk about 5 well-known phenomena that have affected supply chains and how these might be interpreted through these 3 different lenses about resilience. Andreas is now going to unpack one of those, being the Suez Canal blockage.
Yeah, the Suez Canal blockage was a huge event in 2021, and supply chain resilience could be interpreted or looked at by using these 3 dimensions that Mark just mentioned, so persistence, adaptation, and transformation. So supply chain resilience in the sense of persistence means that the primary focus is to remove the ship as fast as possible to reestablish the old steady state and supply route. So we go back as fast as possible. We bounce back in the traditional sense of resilience as an engineer would maybe define it. The second perspective on resilience, on supply chain resilience, is supply chain resilience as adaptation. So here, if we keep the Suez Canal in mind again, is the goal is to reroute ships maybe, or use alternative short-term forms of transportation, maybe planes, and create a wider or extended second channel, so we adapt to the fact that problems can occur. This is the perspective of an ecologist. Finally, transformation is the third way of how we can reinterpret supply chain resilience. And this is maybe the most social science type of resilience. Here the way is challenged in which business is organized in a global context. So we shift towards a greater emphasis in localization, reuse, repair. So we really entirely try to reimagine how business is being done in the long run. So therefore, this is not about bouncing back, but this is how to reimagine a new future. There's 7 principles of resilience thinking that have been developed in social ecology, in social-ecological systems thinking, and we have used them in our article to apply them and learn from them about supply chain resilience. So the first principle is to maintain diversity and redundancy. This is quite widespread already in supply chain resilience, so redundancy in the sense of multiple sources of supply or inventory, additional inventory, so some redundancy in that sense. The second principle is about managing connectivity, how we can be connected with business partners. That would be the interpretation in our discipline. The third principle is to manage slow variables and feedbacks, so how everything is interrelated. Then the fourth principle is to foster complex adaptive systems thinking. This is also something that is that has been used already in supply chain management, and we can maybe learn even more about this by looking at how resilience has been used in other fields. The fifth principle is to encourage learning, and this is really useful, learning from others, from business partners, but also from past failure. And then the sixth principle is to broaden participation, maybe involving local communities, so more a social perspective. And finally, the seventh principle, the idea could be to promote polycentric governance. So not just having a top-down control type of governance, but really look beyond. Finally, what we can only encourage you is to read our article and to engage with us and talk with us about supply chain resilience.